So for those who were here last week, we were talking about, I was, talking about the moon map and also the Nos Confunde map. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this map here. So according to the moon map, by what I heard from you, I don't know. So our realm goes around, keeps turning around here. So I had a lot of questions, right? Because on their model, and this is how I got from their shows, whatever. According to their models, there is the center here, and the star, the North Star, is right here, okay? But in our model, this is where Polaris is. So one of the guys last week, I think it was Robert, he said, well, what if Mount Meru is floating, it keeps turning around here? Because according to the moon theory, the moon map theory, as I'm going to explain again, the realm keeps changing, it melts here and then melts here and then keeps going around, right? But the pole star is right here in the middle. And my main problem is that, it doesn't make any sense, right? Because if we have our realm, and I can tell, everyone can tell, and I did display this picture last week, that from Africa, you can see, you can have the star trails, where Polaris is, New Mexico, Hawaii, here, I'm here in Japan. I'm right here in this latitude right here. Okay, if I point, I'm facing south right now, north right here. So if I set up my camera at night, I'll see the same star trails. So we know the pole star is right here, right? So the floating, it doesn't make sense, the floating Meru, because if Mount Meru is directly under the North Pole, do they mean that the North Pole, the North Star also keeps circulating? We know it's fixed. We know the Georgia Guidestones. We know a lot of things that the North Star is fixed. So it doesn't add up. The moon map to me, that's my personal opinion. It's totally garbage. I mean, I wasted time and looked at this map. Flight routes don't work on that. It doesn't make sense at all. It's my opinion. If you have your different opinion, I've been looking at some other arguments. I just see this. I don't see a political division to match, because one of the things about the Gleason's map, you can check the veracity of this map. Right? So I'm from Brazil, as most of you already know. I have been here in this border of these countries here, all of them. So I know the physical map, the Gleason's maps reality. I also know that when we fly from Rio to Los Angeles, we fly over the islands here, over Puerto Rico, which even if you wrap this map on a ball, doesn't make sense, because in the ball, we would have to fly over the Pacific here and Central America, and that's not, we have geographical evidence that the Gleason's map is correct, right? And a lot of flights like Vika being traveling around Europe here, and he knows about it. When we travel San Francisco to Japan or LA to Japan, like I do, we can see the land here, Alaska and everything. So we know this map is correct. And the moon map, I mean, to me, my personal opinion, it's just garbage. This is my. So I start looking at this Nos Confunde map. So this whole thing comes from a lady called Helen Morris, right? According to this lady, she was born in the lands beyond the ice wall, and you guys won't believe what they have been putting out about this Nos Confunde map, and that's my problem with that. Okay, so they start talking about these lands, for example, Tartaria, not the Tartaria we know like Russia, Mongol. They talk about there is a whole world called Tartaria, and this is interesting here. They have this land called Leonis, where all the people there look like hybrids, like half lion, like this. I mean, it's pure fantasy, pure science fiction. No different from Globe, no different at all. And every land, they say there are people that have some weird shapes, hybrids, full of hybrids. This lion, I mean, it's just absolutely, to me, I'm talking about my personal opinion. To me, it's lunacy, right? Makes no sense. It's all based on one lady called Helen Morris. Pretty much like, a whole, and you see a whole new sect or really a cult based on, oh, this lady had a vision or this guy had a vision. Same, very similar, in my opinion. Now, am I saying that we don't have more land? No, it's not what I'm saying. I think there is some land, but there is a limited amount of land, right? And this is the distance between New York City and San Francisco, about 2,900 miles. So according to some report, and I have a lot of them, I'm just displaying two of them here. The expedition by Admiral Byrd and the 4,000 military men, plus the Russians were there, and I think the Australians also sent soldiers, let's say 6,000 people. They went about 2,300 miles beyond the 75th parallel south. And for some reason, they came back, all right? They got something there. And I want to go ahead and play this clip right here. Let's watch
What
this.
do we know about Operation Highjump, about Admiral Byrd's expedition? It was a massive naval operation that involved an aircraft carrier, several battleships, an armed submarine, and probably another 20 supply and battleships. It involved 4,000 troops, U.S. troops, and the rumor is that there were also British and Russian contingents within these 4,000 troops. It was a massive naval operation. It was not, as it has been presented to the public, that it was a peaceful expedition to explore the natural resources of the South Pole. But even more so, he found, to his amazement, that his planes were disappearing very quickly. A lot of his planes, a lot of them crashed into invisible barriers and disintegrated in mid-flight.
Later reports indicated that Admiral Byrd was given 8 months and unlimited funding to go in and pull this thing successfully off. But we also know that within 8 weeks he was totally defeated.
And in an interview at Buenos Aires on his way back, Admiral Byrd made the incredible statement that the Third World War would probably be with an adversary coming from the polar regions of...
All right, extremely interesting stuff there for us to continue talking about what I want to say. So they did go 2,300 miles, and then this happened, okay? They were there, and the airplanes were crashing into this invisible wall. So my opinion is that it's not an invisible wall. The sky is blue because the firmament is blue. So they had no sense of that. They just thought that they could keep flying, when in fact, that was the end. That was like ice, the blue sky ice in front of them. They thought was just the what's continuing. The heaven was continuing, but they were crashing to that stuff because there is an end, right? So let me make the point that I want to make. So there is more land, but about the size of the United States, which he said, and that's it, right? Nobody can go any further than that. I'm gonna explain why. Can air freeze solid? Yes, air freezes. Only helium does not freeze at atmospheric pressure. There are many different phases of frozen air, and the coefficients of thermal expansion are quite complicated, but solid air does expand and contract temperature and with change of phase. So what do we have here? We have the Tropic of Cancer right here, and we have the Tropic of Capricorn. We have 3,238 miles between the two tropics. So what happens when the sun is here? We have freezing temperature even here, even in Cancer. Sometimes Florida freezes off, especially northern United States, New York, Canada, just because the sun is here, right? And what happened when the sun is circling Cancer? Well, we have just had friends in New Zealand saying how cold it was there. We had a live stream. Shout out to Chris Parks in Australia and all my friends in Australia. Iron Horse, shout out to you. So they were having freezing temperature there because the sun was here. Now imagine here, that distance, 2,300 miles. If we did from here to here, we have 3,238 miles. From here to here, we have at least 7,000 miles, 6,000 miles. Right? Air will freeze. Beyond this point, air will freeze. Not just the land. Air is going to be a block of ice, right? So this is what I have come up to. We have this, our realm. The heat of the sun keeps this place from freezing, the whole thing. But the distance, the heat is not enough. This is Tropic of Capricorn right here. The heat of the sun is not enough to melt the rest of it. So it makes sense. The story of the guy makes completely sense. The guy who said that he was stationed in Antarctica and that they had in the 60s, the US Army tried to dig a hole. And how far did they get? 5 to 10 miles. So what did they have? They have a boring machine like this, right? Back in the 60s. They were trying to see how far they could go. And according to his Facebook post, they went from between 5 to 10 miles here, and they couldn't get through the other side. Don't know how much of this is frozen because there's no heat. And I'm illustrating with like a nice slab, but imagine this being blue because it's frozen oxygen, right? That's why the blue ice, they dig it from here. So they try to go 6, 7, 8 miles here, and what happened? Okay, so you dig a hole through this, you leave a vacuum, you leave air. That air behind the machine starts freezing again. It's exactly like the guy was telling you, us, okay? And I will make it, I want to, this is so important that I do want to share this link on this right now. I have this the sky ice, okay, extremely nice. And I had my friend, shout out to Bill in Tokyo, an American flat earther living in Tokyo. It's been there for 30 years. And I have it here if you want to read along. Originally posted on Facebook 2017. And this is the part. He said that in the 1960s, the US Army had a plan to bore a tunnel into the wall, but they didn't have a boring machine that could handle super cold temperatures. So they had a whole testing project in Greenland where they developed ice tunnels and invented new boring machines that could operate in super cold temperatures. Like they did this whole big thing in Greenland just for practice, all right? So then they took the machine to Antarctica, and he said that the machine bored a tunnel, I don't remember exactly, 5 or 10 miles into the wall, but that they never broke through the other side of the wall, and that they still don't know how thick the wall is, even to this day. It makes completely sense. And I probably not remember this part correct, and I think he said that at first the floor of the tunnel was solid rock, but after a while or two, a mile or two, the floor was sky ice, like it was sky ice underneath after a certain point. So they were digging through the waters, outside the frozen waters, frozen oxygen, outside the firmament, And apparently the wall slowly builds itself back up after you cut it. Of course, why? Because when you are digging here, you're creating this vacuum, not vacuum, but a hole. That hole gets filled with the air from here. Right? But what happened? That air, it starts freezing again because there's not enough heat here to maintain the hole open. It's gonna close, and that's what happened. If you go to the rest of it, but you can listen to the whole thing. The hole close itself out. I'm gonna place this on the chat right now. So it makes complete sense, like the whole thing here. And it makes complete sense. So let them address the two suns. I think David Weiss brought this. There is another sun in beyond Antarctica. And the first time I heard that was from Matt Powerland, okay? So I'm going to show you how that thing is not correct. So this is, you see here the light bulb, and this is not a mirror. This is just a glass, like let's say a window. I have a window here. At night, my light will reflect that window. So if I take a picture of the light, I will see the reflection there. So this is a reflection of the main light right here. Now look at this. This is in China, okay? See, two suns. If you say that, there are two suns, you got to say, oh, there are two moons. There are not two moons. This is the reflex of the moon. And the most interesting, this is the reflex on the firmament, it says here. Another two moons citing a reflection of the firmament. Interesting stuff is that the reflection reflects the craters, whatever you want to say, I don't know the name of this, whatever, the scars or the craters. From here, it's like the moon is like a coin, and both sides have the same face. And the back side reflects into the firmament, shows exactly like the front side it is. Extremely interesting. And this is a reflex of the moon on the firmament, exactly like we see here. So we don't have two moons. We have one moon. We have one sun. We have the same thing here with the sun. This is the reflection on the firmament of this sun right here. We do not have two suns. Don't deceive yourselves, guys. We do not have two suns, and I'm gonna explain why right now. See another example here. This is I have here light bulb reflect on glass. This sun being reflect on the glass firmament right here. This is not another sun. This is the reflex of this sun right here on the firmament, right? And this is the first example right here with the moon, also with the sun. So why don't we have two suns? That's another example right there. Why? Just open your Bible. When God made two great lights, the greater lights to rule the day, and the lesser lights to rule the night, He made the stars also. So that's the danger when you leave a scripture behind. You gotta fill out these theories with ideas coming from human mind. As I said, Matt Powerland, shout out to him. He's a great guy. I don't agree. We don't have two sons. We have one son. That's what the Bible says. And I'm always going to stick with what the Bible says. You know, I love the guys, but between believing Matt Powerland or anybody else and what the scripture says, I will always side with what the scripture says. Right? And I will explain more. We have a show today. It's going to be about that. But there are two great lights, one light to rule the day and a lesser light to rule the night, and they reflect off the firmament of heavens. The moon reflects, sometimes the sun reflects. But those are reflections, just like we see the example here.
It's not only the sun and the moon that reflect their image off the firmament. Here we see that rainbows do it too. The inversion of colors prove that these are mirror images.
The colors of this one are inverted.
Exactement.
Here is the red, and the red is here, and the green is here, and the green is here. You know why?
No.
Because the light reflects on the firmament. It's like a mirror.
So this whole idea, I looked at those Nos Confunden. I went to the Spanish website, and I had a lot of problems, with them, with some of their ideas. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not like telling you what to believe. You research. I will stick with what the Bible says. There's one sun, one moon. The other words that we're going to be talking about right now is not outer. We have a limited. I have here 38 Bible verses talking about the ends of the earth. It's 38. I'm going to make like a slideshow or something, displaying one by one. For he looked to the ends of the earth and seeth under the whole heaven. He directed under the whole heaven as his light entered to the ends of the earth. But there are 38 Bible verses talking about the end of the earth. So the earth has ends. It's not what they are saying here. This stuff is not biblical, and I cannot base, my whole research on the ideas of one lady called Helen Morris. Nobody knows much about this lady. She's the daughter of an explorer, telling a story. I don't know. I don't care. I will stick with what the Bible says. So where all those people are coming from, right? So I have another Bible verse here I want to share. He wrapped in lights as a garment, which stretched out the heavens like a tent. Okay, I did talk about this a couple of weeks ago, that we cannot have a flat ceiling without columns. It doesn't support. Okay, it doesn't. This is how a ceiling will have to be to support the weight. It's dome shape. And this I got from an architectural website. Unlike traditional roof types, domes don't rely on standing interior columns or support posts. Without load-bearing pillars to worry about, domes will have plenty of space inside. So exactly like I picture, we have more land, but not infinite, not 178 more continents. This is how far they got, and I think, look what they did with Maui, Hawaii. If there was more land here, believe me, that's my opinion, they would be there. They would be exploring. They would be populated. If they are fighting for tiny islands here, killing thousands of people, how much more they wouldn't do for all these lands? People, the problem is like, man, they are never satisfied. They want more and more. They start a little bit and more spread. They conquer the whole earth here. And if there was any possibility they could be infinite land here, they would be grabbing it. There is no.
The Antarctic Treaty was not created to prevent people from finding more land. The Antarctic Treaty was created to prevent people from finding the firmament, where the firmament touches earth. If there was infinite land, they would be there extracting all the resources Admiral Byrd spoke about. Just look what they did in Maui, killing the population to steal their land and the 120 million tons of lithium. No, they are hiding God. That's what they are doing.
120 million tons of lithium in Maui. I don't think we need to wonder why they did what they did there and why it happened. We all know computers are getting big, cars are getting big, and lithium works for batteries. It wasn't an accident, people. Somebody with some money wanted some more money.
They crashed into the ice wall. They couldn't go any further. And I really like Flat Earth Clues by Mark Sargent. I think he sealed the deal in that documentary. And I'm going to rewatch that stuff again. So where do aliens come from? Okay, so that's my idea. Also, I did talk a little bit last week about they coming from under. Not from outer, but from under. So this is also describing on the globe, actually, all these worlds here below. And I have several Bible passages about Mount Meru being floating. Well, this is a Japanese map. This is actually, they did it mechanically, even back in the 1800s. They have had this model for thousands of years. But this is how they do it for the sun and the moon to circle. You have a fix there, Mount Meru. There is a Chinese movie where they depict the people going there, on foot and, a lot of stuff. And we have here the Korean, you have the Mount Meru right there. Okay. So the floating Mount Meru, I cannot agree with because otherwise, if Mount Meru is floating, so the pole star would have to be moving as well. And we know the pole star Polaris does not move, right? So I love the guys. I mean, that's why I want Robert will be back here. A couple more shows. I have more guests. And I want to see if Dave come back too, and then we can talk more about the stuff. So the danger is you're doing exactly like the Globers are doing. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination circles the world. Okay, the whole heliocentric model is based on imagination. They imagine things and they think they can build rockets and go to those imaginary worlds. They claim people live there. So I see people doing the same thing with this Notes Confunde map and creating people and hybrids and lands of giving name of planets to them. I mean, I don't know. And my problem also that I saw on TikTok is that a lot of people that I talk in promoting this map on TikTok, they promote a lot of stuff like they are trying to contact me, saying, there's one lady saying, well, they had contact me. They say they want to help us. Our world is in trouble. They're coming from this different land. They want to help us. It's very similar to this whole alien agenda, because that's what some of the global pushers are saying. Oh, they're going to come here to help us. They're not bad. But it's very similar, guys, extremely similar. So be careful, you guys. Stick with what the Bible says. All right, so this is actually, there are several cultures that describe the upper worlds and the lower worlds. This is from India. It's not from the Bible. It's not into the Bible, but describes all these worlds below and the heavens above, right? And you have different cultures, Burma, Nepal, whatever ancient worlds, they describe the same thing. And we have, of course, the biblical world. So I want to play on a video extremely important for y'all.
And today we're talking about something/somewhere that puzzles many modern Bible readers. Tartarus! Out of the 4 words translated as hell in the English Bible, Tartarus is only mentioned once. But in its one use, oh baby, it makes an impression and brings up loads of questions. Ever hear of the Watchers or the Nephilim? The one mention of Tartarus in the English Bible comes from 2 Peter 2:4. For if God didn't spare the angels who sinned, but threw them down into Tartarus and delivered them to be kept in chains of darkness until judgment. And Tartarus is kind of used like a verb, as in throw down or throw to Tartarus, and uses the example of angels who sin that have been thrown down and are in captivity until judgment to prove his point. But this opens up a whole can of worms to modern believers. Why are there angels chained up in it? Who the heck are they? Why are these guys chained up, but Satan and his loonies are loose in the world? And why are they chained in darkness and not being barbecued like rotisserie chickens? When you think about it, this Tartarus thing is way out of left field until you learn what the ancient Christians knew about Tartarus and who dwelled in it. So, what's Tartarus? Tartarus became associated with the place, not just a god. And Tartarus was a place nobody wanted to go. Ancient Greeks believed that if it took an anvil 9 days to fall from heaven to earth, it would take 9 more days for an anvil to fall from the earth to the depths of Tartarus. Homer took it a step farther and said that Tartarus is as far beneath Hades as heaven is above earth. In Greek mythology, after the Olympian gods warred with the Titans, the defeated Titans were banished and chained in Tartarus for eternity. And the Romans had a thing for Tartarus too. The Aeneid gives tons of details on Tartarus, that it was deep and massive, surrounded by triple walls and a river of fire called the Phlegethon, guarded by a 50-mouthed hydra. And inside Tartarus there was this massive castle with iron turrets, and inside the castle was a pit that went down even further, and at the gloomy bottom in chain were the twin giants Otis and Ephialtes, who had made war upon the god. Now this is starting to sound like the hell that movies envision, right? So, there's your basics on Tartarus outside of the Judeo-Christian tradition. In the Septuagint, the word Tartarus shows up in Job 40:20 and 41:24, which in our Old Testament now shows up as Job 40:13 as imprisoned in the grave, and 41:31 as the deep, as the verses are numbered different in the Septuagint. Greek translators use the word Tartarus to describe a deep, dark place in the earth. But extra-biblically, in the book of Enoch, dated between the 3rd to 1st century BC, it says in 1 Enoch 20 that God put the angel Uriel in charge of the world and of Tartarus. And it was in Tartarus that 200 fallen angels, the Watchers, who led by Semyaza, rebelled against God and taught humanity the use of weapons and sorcery, and who ended up lusting after women, mating with them, and creating the race of Nephilim, were imprisoned in chains. And amongst many Jews prior to Jesus and among early Christians, Tartarus was a deep, dark, terrifying place where the angels who rebelled against God, who some believe mated with women and created the Nephilim, were imprisoned to await final judgment at the end of days. And these are the angels most likely referenced in Jude 1:6-7 and 2 Peter 2:4. Tartarus was not a place for humans. It was for a very specific group of angels. But in later Gnostic works, Tartarus becomes a place for humans as well.
All right, guys. So interesting, this stuff. Extremely interesting. Okay, so Tartarus. It's not Tartaria. Tartarus. All right, this deep inside the lowest place of the lowest. Okay, the lowest one. Just like we have, and let me show you this. Uh, I did bring this up a little bit last week, and I got a few more stuff to play. So let's see the whole thing. The world. Right? We have the seven heavens. There are a lot of. That's why I cannot throw all this stuff away and embrace the words of Helen Morris, which is one lady, against so much evidence that accounts from different cultures and a lot of texts. Now that we have seven firmaments above, seven heavens, and there's a lot of biblical and non-extra biblical passages talking about seven heaven, right? There's more than one. Now I have this one here. This is from a book that I have here. It's called the Super Gospels. Now you can find this in Amazon, Walmart, by Robert C. Farrell. Okay, so what is this Super Gospel? Well, Robert C. Farrell, he worked 16 years on this book. You find here the four Gospels: Matthew, Luke, Mark, Luke, and John. And he, in between, chronologically, he inserted all the non-canonical texts, right? So that's why it's called the Super Gospel. So interesting, right? For example, here I took a picture of 3 pages, the birth of Jesus, all right? So in green means it's in the New Testament. And all these others are from those books that he put it together. So I don't know how to read this. I think this is Proto-Evangelion. I don't know all of them. Gospel of Mary. I don't know this stuff. But the yellow means that's not in the New Testament, but it's from the same time. So here talks about the seven heavens. Extremely interesting because it says here when the Most High sent his Son to descend. So we drop from here and pass through the heavens. You must descend below the skies of that world to dwell within the world and further descend as far as the angel in Sheol. But you will by no means travel as far down as the destruction perdition, Tartarus. So the Lord, the Most High, Jesus was supposed to descend to Hades or Sheol. I don't know how you guys say in English. We say Sheol. Where he grabbed the people who were waiting for him, but he was not supposed to go any further down. And that was the orders of the Most High to his Son. So, and the most interesting is that as Jesus, in his incarnation, as he was coming down, he was supposed to take the appearance of those angels from those seven heavens. So it says here, in the seventh heaven he left to enter the sixth, right? And then from the sixth he went to the fifth, and so I saw him descend to the fifth heaven. He transformed himself to resemble the angels there, and they did not exalt or venerate him when they saw him, for his appearance was like their own. So this was because the Most High told him that's what you have to do as you went down. And so he went to the fourth, the same thing. He disguised as he changed his appearance into the angels that were there. And then same thing when he went to the third heaven, coming down, second heaven, and the first. So after the resurrection, it's also in this book, first he died, he went to Sheol or Hades, he did not go any lower, he just stayed in the Sheol. And then when he went back to the Father. He didn't change his disguise, and then he was worshipped on his way up, and the book of Acts tells all the disciples saw him going up. So as he ascended, according to this, one of those books here, this is at the end, okay? I'm talking about the beginning, when the birth of Jesus Christ. But after his death and resurrection, when he ascended to heavens, he was worshipped because he did not change his appearance anymore. He was the Lord, and he was worshipped all the way. Extremely interesting stuff. So I have a way, there's a mountains, okay, of the biblical and non-biblical. As far as the shape of the earth being water here, 2 Peter 3:5, for they deliberately overtook this fact that the heavens existed long ago, and the earth was formed out of water, and through water by the word of God. This is from 2 Peter. This is from an apocryphal book. It said, let the earth be made, and it was made. Let the heaven be made, and it was made. It's he who searched the deep and its treasures, who has measured the sea and its contents, who has enclosed the sea in the midst of the waters, and by his word has suspended the earth over the water. And that the earth has a circular shape, second Esdras. And this is also talking about the seven heavens, heaven, which is the first from above, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh heavens. So the world is, according to several different cultures and a lot of biblical or non-biblical, even the mythology, Greek mythology, talks about the world being something similar to this. Layers above, layers below, and according to, and we know that, according to, I think it's Peter, talks about when Jesus died, he descended into Hades. He took the souls of those, but he was not supposed to go any lower than that, by order of the Most High. So those creatures, all right, let's talk about those creatures that live below, the aliens or the hybrids or whatever. No longer they have the dumps, they're deep under military base. It's all under. Okay, they don't go outer, they go under. Right? And I want to play one more video here talking about this stuff I didn't know, and I learned about the seraphims.
So watch this. So when you read the word seraphim,
Yeah.
in its Hebrew derivative, it means reptilian.
Right.
So the seraphim,
Yes.
it means reptilians.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother topic. A whole other topic
Yeah,
there.
we're opening up so many cans today.
Okay, so watch this. So then God is angry that
Yeah.
everything is corrupt.
Right.
Or everything has either been corrupted willingly or through force or genetically modified.
Right.
By that time, God said, I need to stop this because then the fulfillment of the prophetic word given in the garden concerning the Messiah and his come
Yep.
to bruise the head of the serpent
Yeah.
can't come to pass. So God decides again, which I believe with another flood,
Yep.
which means that God had already been doing this multiple times.
Right.
According to Genesis chapter 1, potentially, right? Of
Yeah.
it already had
And
already
I
had happened.
personally prescribe to that, just so
Right.
you know. That's, and I'll say that unapologetically.
Right. So then God wipes out
Yeah.
the Nephilim and all the genetically modified sentient beings that were potentially living on the earth. We don't know how many were there, but we
Yeah.
know that there's ancient depictions of them,
Yep.
And then what happens after that, these unregistered, because everything that's created on the earth only comes as a direct result of the registry of the courtroom of heaven.
Yeah, right.
But these Nephilim are unregistered sentient beings.
Yeah.
They're unregistered.
Yeah.
They're unregistered. All right. God wipes their bodies out, and now their spirits
Yeah.
become demons.
Right.
The term demon is just an office.
Right.
The word demon, diabolos, just means, or demonion means
Yeah.
one that separates between two. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all that
yep,
word
yep.
means. So now these entities or these disembodied spirits are left to wander the earth, but the earth is under the prince of the power of the air. So now they become enslaved
Yeah.
to the devil and the principalities, powers, rulers of darkness. So now so then you got the fallen angel, devil and his angels ruling geographical locations on thrones, the prince of Persia, the prince of Greece, the prince of Israel, which is Michael. You got the prince of South America. So then they're governing with the devil. And then you have these sentient beings who are unauthorized.
Yeah.
Now under the control of the prince of the power of the air.
All right, guys. So these reptilians are seraphims, and that's where they live under earth, and I didn't know this is a picture of seraphim, according to the Bible. And we have here some people who might question this stuff. Seraphim, seraph, it was related to serpents with wings, right? So a lot of people, when I was studying the Bible at church, they say, well, the serpent in the garden, she had legs. Maybe she had wings. Maybe this is what the snake at the Garden of Eve looked like, because this is in a lot of ancient art crafts they found in archaeology, whatever, right? And another thing also, I also spoke about some of the people who lived under. I was talking about a subway in Australia. Extremely interesting. Let's look at this also. I have a couple of videos more.
Beneath the Adelaide railway station sits a hidden subway tunnel known as the Jubilee Line. The only train that would ever travel down this tunnel was the Midnight Mole train. This train was decommissioned decades ago. However, it still sits abandoned in the now bricked-up Jubilee Tunnel. Rumor says the train driver would divert the last train of the night onto the Jubilee Line, delivering the passengers to the mole people as food.
So I want to be up to date today, play all the videos that I have been saving here for a long time.
A network of tunnels and secrets are being discovered beneath Melbourne in what's been described as a subterranean city.
It's fascinating. There are rumours and the reality. Some say there's a ghost train under Swanston Street. Others believe a two-storey pub is buried below the concrete of Collins.
So we sent Today Melbourne reporter Isabella Stashkovsky to uncover the underground truth. This is a city thousands walk through every day, many without realising what lies below. Hidden beneath Melbourne, there is a treasure trove of stories, many still to be told. This is a tale of two cities, one above and one below. Beneath Bennett's Lane in the CBD, a Pompeii-like discovery, thanks to a routine check before the construction of a new 20-storey build.
What we discovered was that the further evidence of what's become known as the buried blocks phenomenon.
3 metres below street level, a time capsule of life almost 200 years ago. More than 100,000 artefacts and whole standing structures.
We encountered these what were actually the remains of single-storey cottages from the 1830s, 1840s. So there were fireplaces there. You could see the staircases going down to them.
There are others like it and more to be found. But this was accidental preservation out of practicality.
All right, guys, interesting stuff. I mean, we talked about this, all these cities which in the US, they always explain that all those tunnels because slaves were trying to escape from the south to the north, Canada. But, you see them all over. And Australia, it makes no sense at all, those cities buried there. So it's much more a world down, and we cannot go up. There's no way, but some men went down, some hybrids or whatever, and demons are down there. I was trying to find a passage in the Bible where I think Jesus was going to expel a demon, and the demon said, "Don't send me down to the down below before my time, or before our time." And I was thinking that it was in Mark 5, and it was not there, talking about the guy who had a legion of demons. I think in my Portuguese Bible says, "Don't send me to that place down before our time." I don't remember exactly where that passage is, but it's there somewhere. So let me make sure I run all over this stuff here. Okay, so let me share my screen one more time. This thing is interesting. And add. Gotta show this. So we have Nemo's garden. Okay, so what does the Bible says? You know, there's water under. I mean, 2 Peter, the earth was created out of the water. So we have Nemo's garden, and this is a perfect example of earth, how it looks like. Okay, so picture that water that it's frozen. Okay, it's water. It's still ice is water. Okay, so let me stop right here. Let me go back. So just imagine this is, we have sun and the moon. They have lights in here. That's why they keep the plants grow, because they have some artificial lights inside here. So makes it possible for those plants to grow. And so imagine the sun and the moon, but the Tropic of Capricorn does not go as far possible to melt more of the ice. I'm talking about the atmosphere, the blue ice. So it's much easier to understand the whole complex of things that we are living at, okay? And it just, we have a lot more supporting, I believe, supporting evidence that this is exactly how things are. And we have, only evidence we have about this stuff here is imagination. There's no evidence, you know, it's mostly imagination. And we don't want to bring people to flat earth. Oh, you don't need to change because it's just like, you know, you still can have this. I love the guys, you know, they are welcome to come here. And flat earth millionaire, man, you're a guest if you want to show up. But we don't need to try to convince Globers, say, oh, you don't need to abandon your Star Wars, because no, these creatures, the Bible, Revelation says some of the real wildest, craziest creatures are going to come from under. Right? And so let me see what else. Oh, yeah, I have this. I posted on my Facebook, YouTube, when he prepared the heavens. I was there. And he said, I compares upon the face of the death. And this is how the Lord, you know, and circled the earth. And the sun, as far as the sun and the moon, he is going forth is from the ends of the heaven, and he circuit unto the ends of the earth, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. So there is heat here, but the sun has a circuit, and the sun cannot go any farther than that. It's Tropic of Capricorn here. So it's not going to melt the frozen air that's here. So it makes this whole thing here makes complete sense. So I do encourage you guys to watch this, the Antarctic Sky Ice. I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm going to place this link in the comments for anybody to watch now. Sky Ice Wall. Sky Ice Wall. But later I'm going to link. It's very interesting reading. You know, you listen to the guy narrating this whole story, where the soldier was stationed in Antarctica, and they have this sky ice. So somebody left me a comment, and I pinned here. It said, hey Eddie, how about starting a Patreon account? You're doing all this work and have a lot of subscribers. I'm sure many of us would buy you a cup of coffee and a month over on Patreon. So I appreciate that, and I did open a Patreon account once. In less than 1 week, I decided to close down. I'm really embarrassed about asking for anything. One, I never needed. I do have a job here. I mean, I work for myself, but things have become difficult, and I'm going to explain what's going on right now. I have my family in Brazil. I have my parents. I have 2 sisters. I told my sisters, do not take my parents to, and don't take them, don't take yourselves, right? Don't take that stuff, that poison. You know what I'm talking about? Don't take my parents. They did it exactly the opposite. They all got the poison, all of them. They took my parents there. My father is 92. My mother is 86. They took them there, okay? And they took them themselves. There was, whenever they, you know, 1 to 2 years. They are all sick now, okay? And they are saying my parents are extremely sick and they keep asking me for money. So I work for my family here. I have my daughters, my 2 daughters, my wife, and I work for myself and for us. I have helped my family a lot over the years. I just can't do it anymore because I'm not working as much. There's a crisis going on here. We had just last week, they had a cyber attack, Chinese, they want to destroy Toyota so they can take over the auto industry. There's a lot of factories closing, malls closing, a lot of unemployment going on right now. I've been losing students because families don't have how to pay anymore. But I'm still making it. I still can pay everything. I'm still fine. I don't need anything. But my family has keeping me, like I wake up in the morning messages, you need to send money for this, money for that. And it's driving me crazy. Like last night, I went to bed early. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't fall asleep until 4 a.m. because it's becoming unbearable. I don't know if they are asking this money because they want to help my parents or if that's for them because they're all sick. And I can't do that. They all have their family, but they all got sick. My sister, her husband, my other sister, because of that stuff. And it's been extremely hard for me. So that's why I have a store now. I decided to put out this store, and I've been selling some stuff there. I market everything is like $10 profit to see if I need to raise like $4,000, but a lot of people are going through difficult moments right now. Nobody has money to buy t-shirts, So since I put this together, I've sold like $200, and because I understand people are struggling. A lot of people are struggling right now, right? So I do have, which I hate, I have PayPal. If you don't want to pay $30, but you want to still help, $10. I mean, it's appreciated. I'm not begging. I'm not, it's just that I'm trying to find a solution. And if you want to buy a t-shirt, great. For 7 years, I have had my Google Gleason's map here, thousands and tens of thousands of downloads for free. My book has been downloaded for free everywhere. Only for those who want a print copy can have one. But that's the situation. If you can support me, if you want to buy a t-shirt, a mug I've made $5 per cup, okay? I would have to sell like 2,000 mugs, but it's there. If you decide, it's just like they're going to black out the internet soon, so you won't be able to access any downloadable maps. So having a physical map, and I ordered a blue one for me. I'm waiting because it comes from the US. This one came from the US. My friend sent me, but he folded. So I don't know. So let me get back, and I apologize for taking the time and bothering you guys for this, but yeah, Cash, thanks everybody. So let me conclude what I have to say about this whole thing here. So summing up, guys, to me, the moon map is garbage, okay? And the nos confunde map is to nos confunde. Nos confunde means to confuse us, okay? It's Spanish and Portuguese are similar, and I don't promote this. I would rely on something like this because this is what a lot of ancient cultures, different cultures, non-biblical, but they support the same thing. Tartarus is the lowest of the lowest here. And that's where Satan will be thrown into. And we don't have two suns. We have one sun that reflects off the firmament, as I explained here in the very beginning. This is a light bulb reflecting on a glass window. The same thing with the moon here, reflecting off the glass firmament. Okay, we have the same thing with the sun, reflecting off the firmament, just like we have another light bulb here reflecting on a glass. So these are reflections. We don't have two suns or two moons. Stick with what the Bible says. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Stick with this, and you will not be confused, like the nos confundem. You won't be deceived as the globe wants to deceive you. The greater light, the moon is a light, it's the lesser light, both created on the fourth day. So stick with what the Bible says, you guys will not be deceived. All right, let me see what else I have. I have been going a long time today. And I think that's all. Let me cover this one more time, okay? They were not trying to break through the firmament with Operation Dominican Fishbowl or drill holes if they could just keep going forever. No, they found, I really like it. I'm going to watch again the Flat Earth Clues. And I will invite Mike Sargent if you want to come here and talk more about it. He's invited over. I don't know if he watches my show or not. Reach out and then you can make it. And that's my idea. This is not solid water ice. This is frozen oxygen, the blue ice. And the sun, it does not go that far enough to melt this thing. So it makes sense the whole boring the hole trying to get out of here. They try from the top, they try from below, they try from the sides. Nobody leaves this place. So the ideas of people who was born beyond the dome, beyond the firmament, I don't know. It's my opinion. I don't buy it. So I'm gonna close with my favorite song. It was a privilege. The weather today is terrible. We're gonna have lots of rain, a lot of thunder. So thanks, guys, for being here. May the Lord bless each and every one of you. And I'll be back tomorrow night for the next show, my time, Tuesday morning in the US. And let's listen to Dave J. Carroll. Thank you so much. See you. Bye-bye.
Wonderful, magical, celestial light, fantastical, mystical, wonderful sight. Belgian Swiss physicist Auguste Piccard, 1931, first to reach for the stars, was the first to explore the air view stratospherius, a scientist curious to see what was there. An aluminium black ball on a helium balloon, with portholes and instruments, sailed towards the moon, rose in just half an hour, 52,000 feet, 10 miles up, 10 temperature, up a dead drop in heat and cold, but disproving gravity. Wonderful, mystical, beautiful sight, flat line separation of black from blue light, a world run by deceivers, false make-believers, hiding in shadows, stealing our light. Mystical, fluorescent light, wonderful, magical, awesome, yes, stealing our light. Wonderful, let there be light, supernatural, eternal, up we go, higher than rainbows, higher than mountains, above cumulonimbus, higher than air, high level horizon, 360 around us, but right round behind us, any height that you dare. The sun and the moon both revolve above around us, to forever short time pass intelligently there. You'll never beat us, you'll never defeat us, no more you deceive us, keep through you like air. Kipper and Picard were the first ever known to reach up there. Divine luminescent light, mystical, wonderful, celestial light. So what was their eternal testimony? What did they report? report back to humanity. Said it seemed like a flat disk far as eyes can see, with an upturned edge fading into infinity. A mystical, ethereal, celestial sight, a divine creation, a clockwork of light, designed hid by deceivers and false make-believers, still cowering in shadows, still fearing our light. Here we go, higher than Everest, higher than airplanes, above zero, cumulus, higher than air. A level horizon, 360 around us, slow motion beneath us, no spinning, no fair. Stars on the firmament, turn along around us to forever, show time as geometrically there. You'll never beat us, you'll never defeat us, forever beneath us, we see through you like air. Mystics on a luminous light, fantastical, magical, bright, we see through you like air. Magical angels of light, beautiful, wonderful, celestial light. The first to see truth when they reach for the stars, explorers and physicists, Kipper and Picard. Never you'll defeat us, forever beneath us, we see through you like air.